Hey everybody, welcome back. Hope you are enjoying these longer videos. Today's video is not shot today. I was not wearing a jacket or a sweatshirt when I shot this content, but I was working outside in the heat of summer and trying to keep this space cool as well, trying to keep the humidity down, keep the temperature down for the process. So today's video is all about a project that you saw on here when we first started uploading content. So we started in August, and around that time we were working on finishing a cherry bed floor for a classic Chevy truck, and that's where this channel started. That was some of the first content you all saw on here, and that's where I want to go back and do a long form video and tell you all about it, tell you all about the steps and process that got us through what you started seeing. So back in February, before that, so that was August, so back in February, I started the process of working with that bedwood. Actually, it was in February before. So it sat here in the garage for a little over a year, mostly waiting on me. But started the process by straight line cutting all of my lumber. So you've seen me in shorts use my track saw, and we used that and paired it with the cherry lumber to get nice straight edges down one edge of the lumber. I don't have a jointer at this time, hopefully someday, but I don't have one at this time. So I use my track saw to get one straight edge, and then I can use the table saw to get my opposite edge in parallel. So that's how I did it, is I cut one edge with the track saw, used the table saw on the other, and then I started putting it through the planer. The other step that I had to figure out was all of my stuff was about 8.5 feet or 9 feet long, all of the lumber that I started with. So I had to cut it all down because my track saw only goes up to a max of like 8'3". So I had to cut it to at least that, put the track saw on it, then put it through the table saw, and then I went through the planer at least a couple of passes, and then I cut it a little bit closer to length if need be, to cut out a bad spot. I didn't want to waste the planer blades on cutting bad material that I wasn't going to use. So some of them I cut down in length. I didn't record any of that footage, or any of that process, I should say. The channel, Kirwin Wood Company, none of it was a concept at that time. Like I said, well, we're coming up on 2 years ago right now since that all happened. So I cut everything down, cut out bad spots where I needed to, and then planed it all. And once I had it all planed, I brought it all back here and stacked it here in the garage. And then the next step that I had to do is I had to use my router. I have to create two cuts. So you can see here on this sample piece, this is actually an offcut from the cherry. You can see how we've got a deeper cut further in from the edge, and then we've got a shallower cut here right on the edge. So I cut all of this. Initially, I was going to use the router table. I didn't end up using the router table to do this particular bed. What I did with this one is I used the table saw, and I set my fence where I needed the innermost edge here to line up. So then I ran that through all the boards, ran them all through, and then I scooched it over a little bit and just slowly shimmied it over, measuring each time until I got to where it needed to step here to go to the shallower point. And once I got to that step, then I had to adjust my depth down a little bit so that this would be shallower cut here, and then I could work my way all the way out to the edge. And I did that all with the table saw. The maple that I've done, and that project's on pause, that I used the router table like I originally planned to do with this bed. I would do it that way again. Do it with the router table, not the table saw. Anyway, this turned out great. The tracks worked great. One of the things I had to do, one of my brothers is a machinist. He had to build me a little sanding block that fit into this track. And you'll see it in some of the footage in a minute. But it basically mirrors this step pattern so that I could sand down through there. So he's a machinist, and so he cut this out for me out of some aluminum, some scrap at his work. And so it's a big old block that I can use to sand down into that groove. One of the issues with the table saw is two things. One, it left a little ridge on the innermost corner in here that I had to chisel out with a hammer and chisel, all the boards. Anyway, I chiseled out that extra little step that the table saw left behind, and then I was able to use my big sanding block to go down through there and sand down in this track, and it sanded this upper face as well, all at the same time. That's kind of a quick little overview of this particular project and this particular bed floor. This was a lot of fun. We had some beautiful lumber, some beautiful grain patterns, and I can't wait to see. Cherry turns more red as it ages, and I'm really excited to see it kind of richen and come out in that color a little bit more. Right now it kind of looks a little orangey, but it looks gorgeous in this truck, and I can't wait to see it age and how it's going to age. So this is actually an offcut from it. This came from inside one of the wheel wells. You'll see some of that footage of us cutting out the wheel wells. That's where this piece came from, and we're still using it for little things, little projects around the shop. So yeah, without any further craziness, we'll jump right in. I hope you all enjoy. All right, good morning everyone. It's a new day. I am starting on not a new project, but I think it's new to this channel, this group. You've seen it, I've referenced it. This is the Cherry truck bed that has been in my shop that I've been working on little bits here and there. I am going to be working on sanding it today. So got it out here. I've got this one and two more pieces that need sanded with our 80 grit, and then we'll move to 150 and 220 and so on. But here's today, we're going to work on this wild cherry bed, and yeah, looks like you'll hear the kids in the background, so come along with us.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, baby.
Can I
Go get your tools. Yep, come on. Got a little bit of edge sanding going on here. Alright, good morning. Good morning, good morning. It's a new day. I'm out here working on the cherry again. I got the two shortest boards already out here, and I've got them. Got one set up here on the bench, so we'll get this groove cleaned up, and then whenever we start sanding in a little while, it'll be ready to go. So I'm going to do all the grooves first, and then I can just sand. So that sanding hopefully goes a little quicker, partly because we're moving on to the 150 grit now, so it won't be so time consuming as it was with the 80 grit, trying to get everything consistent and even. So here we go. And the kids are out here playing. They're making things with the bricks over there. taking straps and carrying them around it through the holes. We got both edges done, so now we're going to move to sanding this back face. Here we go. Afternoon, we've made a lot of progress. I am on the last board. So this board here, we need to sand the face. Tip you down a little bit. We need to sand this face. We need to sand inside of each of these joints and this face as well. And then we'll be all done with the 150 grit and moving on to 220 for everything. I do have a couple of boards that I've said already we're at 150. I need to clean up the joints, and so I need to clean up these joints and these edges on those boards, and then I can move all of it onto 220. But after this face is sanded, everything's at 150. And then we'll just keep going. So we're getting there, almost done. Alright everyone, it's the end of the day, kind of. I've reached the end of what I can do today with the time I've got. I've got to run over to the store and get some 5-minute epoxy. I discovered this while I was sanding this last board, and I need to fill that in. This will be the bottom of the board, and I don't want, the varnish won't be able to coat that in such a way as to prevent water from traveling up in there. And I don't want water getting splashed up in there and causing the board to rot out because it can't drain back out effectively or any of those kinds of things. So I'm going to run and get some 5-minute epoxy. So it's just a quick setting version of what we've been using for some other projects. But it is quick setting, so it'll let us keep going tomorrow with the whole process of everything. So I'll put that on here. This is the piece we had to glue this up. I don't think I showed that. I had a little piece break off right here on the very corner. There's a little crack. You can see it even continues down here in the in that board, and that piece just broke off on the corner. So I prepped it and glued it, and it's sitting there in the clamps now, curing. So this will be my curing bench, I guess, for now, overnight. So we'll get that all going today still, so that tomorrow I can keep going with sanding everything up to 220, and then hopefully I can even get a coat of clear on it tomorrow before the day is out. So we'll see how that goes, but otherwise that's the plan for today. I'll show you this fill when I get back and get going with it, but that's my update. Alright, I went and got my epoxy. So I got some JB Weld 5-minute epoxy. We got these little voids here, we're going to fill them up. Still no sign of it on the back side. I'll show you here. All nice and clear down here. So just up here on the top side is all we're working with. So that's it for today. I need to go in and help the family get ready for dinner. So we'll let this cure overnight. The package says it'll be curing in about an hour, so I may come back and check it in a little bit. But we're going to let it go, and then we'll check in on it tomorrow and sand it off, all that good stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching today. Hope to see you again soon. Alright, good morning. It's a new day. We're out here in the driveway already. I got my tent up and my table out, and I've got my piece of cherry with the resin in it out here as well. We're going to get this one cleaned up, and then we'll start bringing out some other pieces. We don't need the headphones right now. It's okay. We'll put them on when we need them. We don't need them yet. So I'm going to start by using my chisel to scrape off some of the excess resin here, because the sander will just gum up with this resin. So I'm going to try and scrape it off. If I had a hand plane, I would use that instead, but I don't have one of those yet. So, going to use a chisel because that's the closest thing I've got. Nice and slow and careful to not chip away at the wood itself. Just trying to scrape the excess resin off the top. So, here we go. There's one all cleaned up, and we'll get the rest of this all cleaned up. Alright, it's afternoon, still. I'm losing track of when I film these updates. Still working on the chair. I have sanded all of the short boards. Sanded all the short boards for the bed. I'm working on getting this one prepped to sand. I'm going to sand the edges with 220 and then the backs. I think I just gave myself a sliver. That's why we're sanding. This is the one that I showed you a little while ago. I found when I flipped it over, I found that there were some pockets on the front that needed filled in, so I mixed up a little bit more of that 5-minute epoxy. Filled these two down here. So we're just waiting for those to cure. They're just a tad bit tacky still. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can just barely see my thumbprint or my fingerprint in the surface there. So, waiting for that to cure. That's not really detrimental because we still have these 4 to do plus the one on the table. So, all of this is sanded and done. The last step for that is to wipe down and get all the dust off. And how I'll do that is I'll take a microfiber rag over there, get it a little bit wet, and then I'll wipe the surface, and that will pop the grain. I'll tell you more about that then. It'll pop the grain. I'll hit it real fast, probably by hand with 220, and then all of that will be ready. So I got my 4 short ones, 2 skinny longs, and we're working on all of these wide ones now. There's your update. Alright, it's the end of another day. Got some stuff going on, so I got to cut out a little early again. But I've only got this board that we poured resin on a little while ago, and this one to finish. This one, the edges have been sanded, and so we'll finish sanding this one up. clean up this resin and just sand this face here, and that one will be ready to go. So we'll get those all done, and then we'll pop the grain and clear coat. So hopefully that'll be Monday morning. So we'll see you then. All right, good morning everyone. It's a new day. It's a Monday morning. Had a good weekend with family in town and all kinds of good things, and just getting set up for the day. I got my table and my fan out there so far, so I am getting ready to move out and clean up this resin that I put on the face of this board, and then sand that face, as well as sand up. This is the last board that I've got to finish sanding. I did the edges with 220 already, and now I've got to do the back, the grooves, and then this face. So we'll get all of that done, and then hopefully we'll get to clear coating. We're going to do a little bit of, we're going to pop the grain right before we do clear coat, so we'll do that, and then hopefully move straight into clear coat right after that. So that's today's game plan. We'll see what happens, but I think we should be able to make all of that happen without any issues. So come along and we'll show you. Okay, here we go. It's the last board. Gonna run some 220 across this back face, and then we'll flip it over and do the front face. We have sanded everything to 220, and we are about to do what's called popping the grain on this. So we're going to wipe it down with a little bit of water, and it will cause any little fibers that still haven't gotten sanded off to pop up or stand on end. And then we'll hit it very lightly with a piece of 320 sandpaper, and that will knock all those little things off. Think of them like hangnails around your fingernail. And so we'll get all those little hangnails, so to speak, to stand up on end, and then we'll sand them off with the sandpaper. So that's what we're about to do. I got some water. Most people do it with just a spritz bottle, and they spray it down real light, and then let it dry and sand it after that. I like this. It also lets me get as much of this dust off as possible. So we're going to do it this way. I'm going to wring out as much of this water as we can. I don't want to soak these boards, but I do want to get them wet. So you're also going to see, look at that. Look at how alive that wood comes. Get down in this track and get all the sawdust out of there. And get a little bit of a better view. Look at how red and beautiful this wood is going to be. And I don't want to go back over everything that's starting to dry. You can see how quickly it's starting to dry. And if you could rub your hand on it, you could feel the little fibers that are standing up already. So it was as smooth as glass, and now we've got a little bit of fibers standing up. So flip it over and we'll do the back real fast. So I have been sanding these. This one's done. Let me get another one and I'll show you here what I'm doing. So I have popped the grain, as it's referred to, and the boards have dried standing up here beside the building. And now I am taking some 320 grit sandpaper and just lightly sanding off all those little grains that popped up. And I'm just running my hand along behind to make sure I haven't missed anything significant. Now I've got my compressor set up, and I'm going to use this to blow the dust off. I was dusting it with a microfiber and that wasn't working as well. The big thing that you have to be careful with a compressor of is it does generate moisture when it's compressing. And so if you blow too much in one spot or blow too close, you could transfer moisture through the hose and onto your workpiece. We don't want to introduce more moisture. Welcome back. We got all of the cherry in here. That one board is stacked up on top, but that's just temporary while I was checking out the 2 layers. It will fit there, obviously right beside here. We had to put the short boards over here to make sure that there was enough room for everything. I thought there would be enough room on this rack, but there's not, so that's okay. We'll get everything sprayed and drying here shortly. We're actually, despite how it's set up here, we're going to start with the backs and then move to the fronts in a couple of days. So we'll do all the backs and each of their coats, and then we'll do the faces. So that's what we've got. Gonna set up and put a quick spray on a piece of test wood. Got my spar varnish all set up in the spray gun here. I got my Amazon special right here. It takes my DeWalt batteries, but it's a spray gun, ink sprayer. So I'm going to use that to spray on to this here and see how it works. Alright, good afternoon. My tripod's a little low right now, but that's okay. We're going to go outside in a few minutes. I got my sawhorses set up out there already. I'm in here getting my sprayer ready, so I got it all reassembled from cleaning it last night, or yesterday afternoon rather. I'm going to get ready to pour the varnish in. I'm using one of these filters to help make sure that we don't get any impurities in there. Morning. We're putting another coat up here on the cherry. This is coat number 2 on the faces. Here we go. Morning, I'm out here spraying the last of the cherry. This is the third coat on the faces, so I'm down to just the short boards here. Battling the wind. Now for the rest. Okay, I picked up this board outside to move it in. I just sprayed it, and this little fly flew right into my finish. As if I didn't have enough problems with flies in here. Alright, good morning. Got the cherry all wrapped up. Literally. Getting ready to take it to install. I'm going to help with the install on this one. So we've got it all wrapped up. There are layers of foam in between each layer. There's a blanket wrapped around the outside. I got a big old blanket down here on the end to create a cushion in the bed. So I just have to wrap up these ones with something. Probably going to use this beach towel. But then we'll get everything in the truck and get out of here and get it installed. So alright, here's the cherry. There's some of the old blanket that was in there. Wood strips. This is most of the wood. It's coming out in pieces. Here's the bed that it's going in. It's a 1966 C10. Getting ready to go in. Got a little wet sanding on the back of the cab. Got the bed all, the old floor is all out. And we cleaned up, used a grinder to clean up all the edges so that we can paint it a little bit, seal up the rest, get it all in and together soon. There we go.
Oh, we got it.
Okay, we got them all laying in here. Nothing's bolted in yet. They're all in there, getting a look of what it's going to look like, how it's going to lay in there together. Start bolting stuff in now.
Go away from the house. One, please.
Second bolt.
Good. Good. All right. Good.
Get out of the bed.
Dang!
And go back to the fourth one back from the nose.
Thin ones, okay.
Yeah.
Middle one should be good.
Good.
Passenger.
Ready to go with this foot. edge bolts going in. So they go through, this is the inner fender. They go down through this lip down into this subframe and bolt it all together along the edges. So we've got the front, the back, and then the fender also has a lip like that rides all the way around. All right, here's a quick little walk around. This is a 1966 Chevy C10. Came from Montana, actually. It's got a inline 6 being built for in there, rebuilt, not built as in, you know, souped up or anything, but nice old farm truck. A lot of original patina, and never mind the aftermarket radio there, but and then this is the bed, all installed. I hope you enjoyed today's video. We've got a lot more great content coming, and so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button below so that you'll be, that like button helps us grow and helps push this channel and the content that we're pushing out through it to other people who maybe have some similar interests as you. It teaches that YouTube crazy algorithm how to work and how to share our content for us. So anyway, if you found it helpful, hit like. If you enjoyed it, hit like. If you think I just deserved it, hit like. But don't forget to subscribe so that you get more of our content in your feed and get to see more of what we're doing around here. So we've got a lot more great projects coming, a lot of custom things. That's really what we do. It's custom woodworking, furniture making, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. We're excited to share it all with you very soon. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.